Hey everybody. Hello. I think we're on. Hello. Don't you love live videos? Welcome to the global comment section, and we all support one another, and we've been doing this now for about 4 years. And it's exciting. And I'm really glad that you've decided to be here. So tonight's topic is resourcing. Anything that calms us down, anything that instills calmness in us is resourcing. That's what we're going to talk about. That's the topic of this video. If you have all the resources you need and you don't need anything to help you feel at peace or to feel calm, then that's quite all right. Then skip it, move on, look at another video. There are hundreds of videos on this channel, and there are tons of people on YouTube that put out amazing content for adult survivors of complex trauma, any type of ongoing trauma in the form of abuse in childhood. And now here you are, you're an adult and you're dealing with the symptoms. You're dealing with things. You're wondering, why is life hard? Why am I struggling? Why do I have trouble with relationships? Why is my relationship with my children so difficult right now? Why is my relationship with my spouse so painful? Why have I been through so many broken relationships? Why am I struggling with money and my relationship to money? Why am I struggling with food, my relationship to food? Why am I struggling so much? Why is life so hard? Chances are it could be, if you are an adult survivor of ongoing childhood trauma in the form of abuse, then the two could be connected. There's a great website called aces2high.com, and it talks all about ACEs. ACEs, not like aces like cards, but ACEs, adverse childhood experiences. And there's been an amazing study that's gone on, and it's been published in medical journals, and it's all about the connection of adverse childhood experiences with adult issues: cancer, high blood pressure, heart disease, diabetes, a slew of autoimmune disease, other types of issues, suicidality, self-harm, addiction, eating disorders, struggles in interpersonal relationships, struggles with money, struggles with exercise, struggles, life struggles. The struggle is real. And sometimes it's harder for us to navigate adulthood when we were busy being an adult when we were a child, because the adults that we were around weren't acting very adult. And so we were expected to be the adult one, and we sort of took care of all of the adults in our lives. And if that is you and you're struggling with feeling calm, you want to talk about resourcing. You want to talk about things that make you calm, things that help you to feel more at ease, then you're in the right place, and we are your tribe. If that just described you, or if I'm ringing any bells, then we are your tribe. And we're a friendly bunch. Everyone is respectful to one another. Everyone is kind here. This is a safe place. Trolls are not allowed, especially potato trolls. Unkind people are not allowed, and you will be blocked. You will not be welcome back here. And one of our incredible volunteers, Poppy, is posting all kinds of amazing stuff here in the chat box. Crisis resources for you. If you are in crisis, this is not the place for you to be. So you have all in the chat box there. You will have places that you can call if you're in a domestic violence situation. If you are in an abusive situation right now and you need to get out of that abusive situation, if you're struggling with an eating disorder, if you're struggling with suicidality or self-harm, or if you're in crisis for any number of reasons, if you're a survivor of rape, abuse, or incest of any kind, then there are resources for you. There are people that are in place right now ready to communicate back and forth with you on a computer or on your smartphone or on your tablet, and just step away from the video and receive the care that you deserve, because you're worth it. You're worth it. You are absolutely worth it. And thank you to all of you who are here live. I will start answering questions in about 15 minutes. So I will accept anyone's questions. Please send them in the chat box here. Oh, and if you click live chat rather than top chat, then you will see the questions come in order, and everyone supporting one another and providing support to one another and receiving support from one another and asking their questions. And you can always have your questions answered here live every single Monday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. And it's free, and it's just here on YouTube, right here on this channel. So consider subscribing to this channel if you're new here. You can click the bell notification and know that whenever we put a video out, you'll be notified, and then you won't miss anything. And I don't want you to miss anything. And then what else? Oh, if this video ends up being helpful for you and you were just to decide to give it a thumbs up, you would vote thumbs up on the video. That would be very helpful, because the more thumbs up and the more subscribes and the longer that you stay here and hang out and chat and consume the content, then YouTube decides that what I'm doing is helpful, and then they put this video in other trauma survivors' feed of suggested videos. Many of you found this channel because YouTube decided that what we were doing was good, and YouTube put a video in your suggested feed. And that's how you found this channel. I get emails all the time from you saying, I'm so glad you tell us to give it a thumbs up, and that you tell us why we're giving it a thumbs up, because that's how I found you 2 years ago or whatever. So if you want to vote this video thumbs down, you totally can. We're going to have the thumbs downers, you all. We get the thumbs downers every week. So the more thumbs up we have helps. It helps a lot. It helps more survivors receive the support and the validation that they deserve, that they maybe have never had. So thank you. Thank you, thank you. I have a screen share. I have 2 screen shares for you tonight, and we're going to do those right now. But first, I want to thank those of you who have already sent in your questions, because I have them here. Thank you to Heroes Don't Wear Capes. Thank you. Oh, and thank you to Ashton and Poppy and Heroes Don't Wear Capes, all for showing up early. You guys are amazing. I just love seeing you all here early. Thank you to Heroes Don't Wear Capes. Thank you to Nexus. Thank you to CZ. Thank you to Willow. Great to see you, Willow. Thanks to CV. And thank you to Hunter. And anyone else who decides to send in their question within the next 12 minutes. Then I'll answer your question at the bottom of the hour. But for right now, I'm going to do a screen share, because we're going to talk about resourcing. We're going to start this conversation, and you all are going to support yourselves, and it's going to be amazing. I wanted to just sit back here and just relax the whole time and talk to you. Could you tell that I was like kind of bummed that I needed to lean forward? I gotten a lot done today, though. I didn't get everything done, but I got a lot done. So let's click out of all these little boxes that I don't need, and we're going to do a couple screen shares. We're going to go 1 screen share, and then we're going to click over to a different one, and then we're going to go back to the original one, okay? So let's see here. Talking about resourcing. Resourcing is good. Let me know if you all can see that screen share. I hope you can see that screen share. Yes, you can see it, I think. All right. Thank you so much for being here, you guys. Okay, so resourcing, which is basically a fancy word that clinicians use and helping professionals use, and, you know, therapists and counselors, psychologists, people that help us with. It's just a fancy word they use for anything that calms us down. So the question that you get to ask yourself right now is, do you prefer interactive resourcing, or do you prefer solitary strategies? And all solitary means is like if you're playing solitaire, you're playing cards with yourself, right? So do you prefer resources, anything that you're using for resourcing? Do you prefer calming strategies that involve other people, that are interactive, or that ask you questions and then you respond to the question? Or do you prefer things that you just look at on your own, right? That are solitary strategies. So It's important to know yourself. Know thyself, right? You're the expert of you. No one knows you as good as you know you. I know some of you are shaking your head. Athena, you don't understand. You don't understand. I don't even know myself. I don't know what I like. I don't know what I dislike. I don't even know myself. What if you don't know who you are? What if you don't know what you like? What if you don't know what you're about? What if you were basically in a traumatizing situation with narcissistic parents and people who were psychopathic and abusive for the first 17 years of your life, and then you barely made it out alive, and then you had a baby right away, and then you were in a couple of different abusive marriages, and then you barely escaped that situation, and then you didn't know who you were or what you wanted, and you continued to be in and out of short-term and long-term dysfunctional, potentially abusive, kind of abusive, toxic relationships for like several years, even a decade after that. Like, I don't know who I am, Athena. Well, all of that I just spewed out, the only way I was able to spew it out is because I was describing myself. Describe myself, you guys. I'm here on this channel to just share, right? Just describing myself. I was raised by very narcissistic, self-serving, toxic, mentally ill, very dangerous people for the first 17 years, and went immediately from the frying pan into the fire, into a very, very toxic and abusive marriage, which lasted 1 year. Had a baby 3 days after my 19th birthday, single for a little while, got involved in another very, very, very toxic and abusive relationship, got married again. There I was, boom, that lasted a year. Divorced twice, single mom, going to my 10-year high school reunion. Anorexic, almost dead from an eating disorder. Didn't know who I was or what I wanted. And I just bounced around in toxic relationships until I moved to an island in the middle of the ocean, thousands of miles away from all the toxic people. You don't have to do that. You get to do that. You get to heal from the comfort of your own home and learn from all my mistakes. But you know what I learned about myself? I learned that I'm both of these things. I prefer interactive and solitary strategies. And it's okay. You don't have to be one or the other. Resourcing can help us in interactive ways and in solitary ways. If some days you feel calm just binge watching your favorite YouTuber that happens to teach you about life skills that you don't have because you were raised in a toxic environment, then that's kind of a solitary strategy, but it's calming you down, right? And if some days you prefer being in a safe support group, maybe messaging back and forth with people that are safe, that are also in trauma recovery, that's an interactive strategy. But if it's calming you down and it's helping you, that's resourcing. And I am both. I am all the above. And resourcing, or, doing activities, whether they're with someone else or by yourself, it helps us increase what's called our neuroception of safety, right? We'll come back to neuroception of safety because it sounds confusing. It sets the stage for contained discharge, which all that means is that if you leave a medical situation and you're contained, it means that you're healthy. So sets the stage for you being healthy, and it calms the nervous system, right? We can talk more about the nervous system on another video, but for right now, let's back up a little bit and let's talk about the neuroception of safety. What's that? What's a neuroception of safety? I'm glad you asked. I have another handy dandy little screen share for you all. Are you following along? Are you guys okay? Thumbs up? Have you screen share? Let me know if you can see this. The term neuroception describes how neural circuits, all that means is the circuits in your brain. Remember, neural is just your brain. The term neuroception describes how your brain distinguishes whether situations or people are safe, dangerous, or life-threatening. A neuroception of safety is necessary before social engagement behaviors can occur. Let's talk about that. Can we talk about social engagement behaviors? Anybody here an introvert? Anybody here just have like horrific social anxiety? Guess what? If you're living with some social anxiety, chances are neuroception of safety is not going on. And the way that we can perceive safety is by resourcing. And we're going to talk today about the different ways that we can resource. Just going to go down the list. Boom, 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 boom. Different ways we can resource. Because remember, when we resource, we are helping ourselves to feel calm. And when we feel calm, as though we are safe, right? Let's find this here. Where is it? There it is. If we are feeling safe, then that means that we're not going to have social anxiety. But if we're not feeling calm and we don't feel safe, then our brain tells us that we're in danger or that our life is in danger. We are either in danger, the situation is dangerous, the person is dangerous, the work environment is dangerous, the text message we're receiving is dangerous, that post on Facebook is dangerous, that tweet that we're reading is something that is going to cause us a tremendous amount of anxiety or fear. Just think about all the different ways that you get anxious. You realize you're holding your breath. You didn't even know you were holding your breath, right? Something in your brain is telling you that you're in danger. You're not safe. So a neuroception of safety is necessary before social engagement behaviors can occur. If we don't feel safe, then we're not going to be able to engage in social activities. And if we do, we're going to feel completely awkward. Very, 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 very awkward. So let's go back to resourcing really quick. The next 3 minutes. Let's see. You guys doing okay? So let's go back to resourcing for a couple minutes, okay? And then I'm going to answer your questions. Super important stuff here, you guys. This is life-changing stuff here that we're doing, right? We're doing all the things. We're healing from all the things. Okay, here we go. So if we're calm, that sets the stage for us to carry on in a way that is not only healthy, but we feel safe, and it calms our nervous system, right? And we don't struggle with social anxiety. So this little worksheet here, like take a screenshot of this. Take a screenshot of this if you can. Save it to your phone. All right. Right here in this little deal here, it says, circle what might work for you. Keep this page handy. Use it when you are losing it. Don't you love that? Don't you love that? Right? Use it when you love Pinterest for finding stuff like this. It really helps. I want to also pay special attention to something really quick. This is a great resource. Okay. Look at this arrow here. All right. See up here where it says gentler? Down here it says stronger. These are gentler resourcing strategies. And these are stronger resourcing strategies. Let me just say this out loud. Please don't miss this. Please do not miss this. You are here on this channel and you are living with CPTSD symptoms. If you live somewhere outside of the United States and you've been diagnosed with CPTSD, because we don't acknowledge that here in the US yet, but we will, by faith, I know we will. I want to just encourage you right now to stay up here in the light green, okay? Stay up toward the top. As you get down towards the bottom here, sometimes this can be triggering for you, okay? If you're living with CPTSD symptoms. If you're newer in your recovery journey, stay up toward the top here. Okay? It's just my recommendation, but you do what's right for you. You could look at this page and go, none of that vibes for me. None of it. Except for down at the bottom here. Track what you feel in your body. Use words. Maybe that sounds good, right? Maybe that sounds good to you. And none of this other stuff does. But this whole reason that we're doing this, right? The whole reason that we are discussing this is because we want you to feel calm. When you feel calm, it means that your subconscious, and remember, our subconscious wins 100 times out of 100, it will tell the rest of our body that it's okay to breathe, it's okay to rest, it's okay. We don't have to fight for our lives. Our lives are not in danger. It's going to be okay. We don't hold our breath as often. We don't have dry mouth, clammy hands. We don't realize that our shoulders have been clenched up close to our chin for the last hour and a half. When we feel calm, we're not living in a constant state of hypervigilance. And that's the goal. Okay? So I'm just going to read through this very quickly. And I want to answer all your questions on all the things pertaining to resourcing. Okay? Starting at the top, right here. Okay? Comforting memories or images. Safety, competent protection, real or imagined, at home or in nature. Loved ones, supportive or protective people. Pleasant experiences, successful endeavors. Feeling safe or welcome. Relaxing sights, sounds, smells, textures, tastes, or environments. Those are considered on the gentler side, right? That's under comforting memories or images. Those are things we can use to resource. The next category of resourcing tactics or skills or elements is social engagement. Now, this would fall under interactive, right? Social engagement. Communicate. Verbal and nonverbal connection bring our nervous system into resonance with those we are engaged with. If they are resourced, we can borrow their resource to settle ourselves down. Babies do this with their caregivers. When mom is upset, baby cries. When mom is calm, baby settles. Now, I want to focus right here super quick on how it says we can borrow their resources. Like, doesn't that sound fantastic? Doesn't that sound like tapping into like a superpower? Like, let's think about that for a minute. When I am in a session with my trauma therapist, and let's say we're going to be doing some EMDR, in order for me to access a safe place, and in order for me to discuss or reprocess memories that may have previously been painful for me to talk about, maybe the first time I processed them, but now I'm reprocessing the memory. One of the best ways for me to reprocess a memory is to borrow the resources of a real or imaginary person that I feel is safe. So for instance, if you have a higher power, I have a higher power. My higher power is God. Yours might be anything else other than God. Let's say your higher power or someone you really look up to. Maybe it's a mentor. Maybe it's your grandma. Maybe it is your most favorite uncle that protected you and no one else did. You can borrow the things from real or imaginary people to help you reprocess memories and feel safer. Right? That's a resourcing technique. And that's something that I do on a regular basis. I have certain versions of myself from a long, long, long time ago. And I have this one particular version of myself that I don't remember very well, but what I do remember of her, she's super smart and snarky and kind of sassy in a way. And she doesn't smile a lot, but she kind of like half smiles, like sort of like a smirk, like a knowing smile. And she knows a lot. And she's really smart. And she sees through people's facades. She's very discerning. And I don't know. I remember being that way when I was a certain age in my life, but it was only for a blip on the radar. The trauma took over and the rest of my life situation took over. But I borrow from that version of me's resources on a regular basis. And I have certain mentors and I borrow from their resources. I borrow from God's resources all the time. And it's very calming for me, right? And I do that just by communicating with that version of myself or through prayer. Um, I access those resources. Okay. Moving down to the third category of resourcing, curiosity, exploratory orienting. Get curious about your present environment. Choose to shift out of fearful expectations and hypervigilance and towards what might be pleasant or interesting. Think like a happy puppy on a walk. This is a good strategy with or without social engagement. So again, this can happen up here under solitary strategies, right? Now, I want to preface this right now with saying that it's down here in the lower area of the arrow. If you are not in a place in your recovery journey where you have gone no contact or low contact with all toxic individuals in your life, and you are living on a moment-to-moment basis wondering when your next emotional flashback is going to come or when you're going to feel triggered and when PTSD is going to take over your life and you're going to be stuck in a flashback or unable to sleep or just in a really, 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 really bad place, this might not be for you because there's a part of you right now that's going, who the hell has time to be curious? And how in the world am I supposed to think like a happy puppy on a walk when I'm surrounded by people that are a threat to me or could potentially be a threat to me, right? I want to validate that. I want you to know that I understand that you might not be in a place where that's an option. Stay up here toward the top if that's where you're at, okay? If you're still in contact with toxic people and you're still having daily PTSD, CPTSD, flashbacks, emotional flashbacks, you have a lot of triggers, please stay up here toward the top. And don't push yourself too hard. You are the only one that knows your body. You're the expert of you, okay? Moving down to number 4, pleasant sensation and welcome touch. Again, please do not do this if you are not in a place where you feel safe and if this is not something that sounds good for you, okay? Feel any part of your body that feels strong, relaxed, or even just less tight or painful than the rest. So for me right now, Mondays I tend to be pretty stressed and pretty tense just because I have a very, very, very full plate. See, I'm going to touch my hands right now. I have my hands sort of clasped together like I'm like as though I were holding hands with someone else, but I'm holding my hands together. Okay, that's a part of my body that feels strong and relaxed, and just a little bit less tight or painful than the rest of my body. And it's a welcome touch, and it's a pleasant sensation, and it feels safe to me. Track the breath. Receive pleasant massage or hair brushing. This is not an option for me. I do not enjoy massage. Pleasant and massage do not go together for me. I worked at a spa at the Ritz-Carlton where the leading world-renowned massage therapists come to have internships and to work for a year of their lives. I've had massages by the best therapists in the world. And I can honestly say that I didn't enjoy them as much as I wanted to. And hairbrushing is not something that I feel safe receiving from anyone but myself. Not even my amazing, wonderful, uh, dear friend who does my hair, Irma. She always asks me right when I arrive, Did you bring your comb? Did you bring your hairbrush? Because she knows I don't like anybody touching my hair. Like, she'll cut it and do all the things, but I'm the one who has to brush it. And that's just left over from trauma. I was beaten with a hairbrush by my mother when I was younger. And so she's kind of ruined the hairbrushing experience for me. I'm still working on it in EMDR. Next, it says pet a pet or a friend or a loved one. Feel your own skin. Take a bath. Put on lotion. Breathe. Move. Listen to music that soothes you. Some of that I can picture doing whether or not I'm okay or not. I can picture listening to music. I can picture moving. But I struggle with the bath part of it sometimes. I struggle with lotion. I struggle with a lot of this. This is something that I have great days and I have not so great days. So it's okay to just be right where you at, right where you are at. Wherever you're at is okay to be right where you're at. The fifth item is grounding. Feel your physical connection to something solid outside of yourself. Feel your feet on the floor. Feel your seat on the chair. Feeling our bodies and our connections to the ground in the present is resourcing when we can do it. Notice that it says when we can do it. Sometimes grounding can feel very, 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 very triggering, which is why there are different types of meditation. There is dissociative meditation and there is grounding meditation. For a lot of trauma survivors, dissociative meditation feels extremely soothing, but grounding meditation feels triggering. So you just need to decide. You need to decide what's right for you. Okay? So, and then down here at the bottom, uh, they're encouraging us to track. Just track what we feel in our body. Use words. Use words to link the sensate level to the resource of the verbal level. And again, here's the arrow, right? Gentler versus stronger. And this awesome resource is available at clearingtrauma.com and has been made available by Elizabeth Dennison from Clearing Trauma for Everyone, Book 1, Basics and Reducing Shame. So I hope that's been helpful for you guys. I want to answer your questions now. Thank you for sending in your questions. I'm going to go ahead and okay. I'm just going to sit back and relax now. Hey, Jess. It's so good to see you. Hey, Poppy. Hey, Vi. Hey, Nexus. Hi, Sabra. And hello once again to Hunter and CV and Willow and CZ. And Heroes Don't Wear Capes. I'm going to go in order, like boom, 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 boom. Okay? So if I don't answer something to the extent that you want it answered, then maybe when the video goes like live, not right now. It's live, but me moving. There we go. But like when the video is no longer live and you can leave a comment, then I can respond to your comment. But I don't always see the chat box. So, but I'm going to try to answer all your guys' questions. I'm going to go in order that they were received. Heroes Don't Wear Capes says, is it possible to develop some aspect of trauma bonding within the therapeutic relationship? Short answer is yes. not just if the therapy is bad, but because the content discussed within trauma therapy. If you're experiencing recurring abuse as an adult, do you need to take responsibility that you may be enabling or allowing the abuse to recur to some extent? Great questions. Heroes don't wear capes. It is possible to develop trauma bonding, and it doesn't necessarily have to be, like you said, if the therapy is bad, or if the therapist is, in air quotes, bad. I mean, if you are experiencing traumatic situation and you're reliving it, and you're there with the therapist and they're helping you process that, this can be, there is a difference between trauma bonding and transference. So I know heroes don't wear capes. I know you're kind of a super sleuth. You're online a lot. And so if you have an opportunity, I would just type in Google trauma bonding versus transference in therapy. And because experiencing transference, if you are living with attachment trauma, like trauma from birth to, early childhood development, age 3, 4, 5, then when we are in therapy, especially if we're processing childhood trauma memories from a very young age, we can be projecting our needs and almost seeking to get all of our needs met and to heal that attachment trauma with our therapist, right? And that is not necessarily trauma bonding. Trauma bonding is different. Your therapist can traumatize you, and it can be a traumatizing experience for you in therapy. And the natural response from someone removed from the situation with you would be, wait a second, therapist, like this is a situation where perhaps maybe this isn't appropriate. But your response would be to protect the therapist. That's a trauma bond. So you're the patient, the trauma therapist is the trauma therapist, and perhaps they have, you've unlocked some memories that you're processing, and in the process of you processing your trauma, you are re-traumatized by something that is going on with your therapist, which could have been something that they did or said that breached protocol, that breached the code of ethics. They violate their code of ethics. And you, being in a young place, healing attachment trauma, would seek to protect that therapist. That's trauma bonding. Transference is when you are processing any type of traumatic memories, and there is a almost overfamiliarity that can end up being traumatizing, in you're projecting what's going on in your life from the memories onto the therapist, and it can complicate the relationship. A great resource for this, actually, Heroes Don't Wear Capes, would be to go on to Katie Morton. Katie Morton's YouTube channel in transference. She explains very, very, very succinctly. She has such a gift of succinctly communicating a big topic in a few amount of words. That's like a superpower that she has. I don't have that superpower yet. I don't know if she was born with it or she developed it, but I want it. So I don't know how to channel my inner Katie Morton right now, but that's what I recommend. Google and Katie Morton. Your second question was, if you're experiencing reoccurring abuse as an adult, do you need to take responsibility that you may be enabling or allowing the abuse to recur to some extent? And depending on where you're at in your recovery journey, Heroes Don't Wear Capes, the answer would be yes. So, for instance, you're an adult, you come from a traumatizing, perhaps abusive upbringing where there was a trauma bond. Perhaps there's attachment trauma, perhaps there's domestic violence, perhaps there is some exploitation involved, Perhaps there are just a lot of different twisted, abusive, toxic things that are going on with your upbringing. And then as an adult, you, even though you swore that those things would never be a part of your adult life, you find yourself in these relationships where you're like, oh my goodness, I'm dating my mother. Oh my goodness, I'm dating my father. Oh my goodness, how did I end up with my brother again? And you're not necessarily dating your mother or your father or your brother in the actual literal sense, but there are these people in your life that are the toxic individuals from your family of origin that are turning up in your interpersonal relationships as an adult. Then I wouldn't victim blame yourself, because there's a fine line there on shaming yourself. But if you can wholeheartedly and appropriately assign responsibility to you, the sovereign adult who happens to be making poor relationship choices, then go you, high five. Like, the moment we do that and we have a rather sober self-assessment, which is something that we should all ascribe to. I desire to have a sober self-assessment at all times. I don't want to think myself higher than I am, and I don't want to think myself lower than I am. Because if I'm thinking myself higher than I am, then I'm being prideful and arrogant and egotistical and narcissistic. And if I'm thinking myself lower than I am, I'm not being humble. It's actually false humility, and it's a form of narcissism. And I don't want to fall into that trap. So I really want to have a sober self-assessment. This is me. This is what I'm doing. I am seeking to change that. I'm going to reverse engineer what that would look like. If I were in a healthy relationship, this is what the relationship would look like. Okay, let's reverse engineer that and go all the way back to square one on how I can somehow cultivate a relationship with someone who would be healthy so that I would reach my end goal of surrounding myself with healthy people. And then what we realize in reverse engineering that goal is that having very firm boundaries with all toxic individuals in our life and having fairly firm or healthy interpersonal boundaries with all people, including ourselves, is necessary to cultivate a healthy relationship with someone, which is the goal that we just reverse engineered. So I hope that was helpful. I know it was a long-winded answer, but again, I'm not Katie Morton. I wish I was. That's why she makes 10-minute videos and I make 60-minute videos. I'm working on it. But thanks for asking your awesome question. You guys are amazing. Nexus says, any good advice for coping with rejection and feeling abandoned as a child in relationships or friendships? Due to the fact family of origin have done this most of their life. Yeah, I have some good advice for coping with rejection and feeling abandoned as an adult in relationships and friendships. One of the most helpful things that I can recommend for you, Nexus, is for you to surround yourself with people who are on a similar journey. So if you have anyone in your life that is a safe person and that they're not toxic, they're not seeking to manipulate you or suck you into their vortex of unhealthy things. If you have anyone, like those of us who are here on Monday nights, who have felt rejected most of their life, have felt abandoned, have trouble cultivating friendships, and all of that is a result of not necessarily anything we've done wrong, or it's not a result of us manipulating and abusing other people. It's just a result of our family of origin not instilling in us a sense of self-worth and a sense of safety. And remember, we talk about this a lot on this channel, Nexus. Your question brings up such an amazing opportunity for me to remind us that the goal in our adult life and the goal in our childhood, it's just two sides of the same coin. What we needed was to feel safe and to feel like we were worthy of protecting. We needed to feel safe and we needed to feel like we mattered. Now that we're adults, any relationships that we have right now where we don't feel safe and we don't feel valued, it's going to trigger us into feeling about 5 years old all over again. And no one wants to be walking around in their adult life needing to navigate finances and relationships and a job and going to the gym and eating healthy foods and driving a car and managing money and all these things. You have children and all these things going on. And yet you feel like you're 5 years old all over again because the people around you in your adult life cause you to feel unsafe or not worth anything, like unvaluable, unimportant. And there's nothing worse than feeling unsafe and unimportant. When we were children, a lot of times our safety was not provided for us by our family of origin, and we weren't protected. We didn't feel valuable. We didn't feel important. We didn't feel significant. And that caused a whole host of problems that we've carried into adulthood. And it ended us all up here on this YouTube channel together, 4,000 of us. So we're all in good company. But the most helpful thing you can do, Nexus, is to surround yourself with people on a daily basis, virtually or in person, that help you to feel safe and valuable. So remember, here, right here, you're safe and you're valuable to me and to all of us. I know you are. So that's the best piece of advice that I can give you. And as far as coping with the rejection and feeling abandoned, when we deal with the root, all the flower petals take care of themselves. Remember, there's like a root cause, and then like there's fruit and flowers. And the root cause is trauma, and then the fruit and flowers are just the symptoms. And when we deal with the root, the rest deals with itself. So the root is that right now in our life, we need to feel safe and we need to feel valued. And then the symptoms of feeling rejected and abandoned, they go away. They no longer, I don't want to say they no longer matter, but they cease to show up on a regular basis the way that they do now. They just, all of a sudden you wake up one day and you're like, oh my gosh, when was the last time I felt rejected and abandoned? I feel pretty good lately. It's like scary. Wow. And that's a whole nother video. Feeling triggered or scared when all of a sudden you're doing well. Right? I hope that was helpful. CZ said, I was raised to parent my mentally ill parents, recovering from a narcissistically abusive ex-boyfriend that felt like my only source of happiness. My loss of self-image, self-love, no goals. How can I love me? You know, CZ, I could have written these words. I could have written every word that you wrote in this question. I was parenting both of my mentally ill parents, and I did have narcissistically abusive ex-boyfriends, and they did feel like my only source of happiness. I had a pathological loneliness. It's sort of my word of the day. I got a great email today from someone, and I just want you to know that the loss of self-image and self-love and the lack of goals and the inability to feel good or to find any way to love yourself, it goes back to what Nexus was talking about and the answer that I gave to Nexus, which is the key is always going to be for us start doing everything we can to feel safe and to feel valuable. Cease allowing people in your life, cease to allow anyone in your life who causes you to feel unsafe or unvaluable. It could take a while, but don't allow it anymore. Don't allow it anymore. And all of a sudden you'll wake up one day and go, wow, I guess I have been loving myself. And remember, when we love ourselves, it means that we are patient with ourselves and we are kind to ourselves. And one of the best couple of ways to be patient and kind with ourselves is to only allow people in our lives who will help us to feel safe and valuable, because we deserve it. I'm willing to bet, CZ, that you show up in the world in a way that causes other people to feel safe and valuable all day long. You probably show up in people's lives and you do kind things for them. You're patient, you're loving, you build them up, you probably encourage them. I bet you they feel safe and valuable. And if they deserve it, so do you. Willow says, is it possible to lose my ability to dissociate? I feel like I have. And it's like therapy stole it. I want it back. LOL. I'm aware that I sound crazy, but I'm not. I'm not okay at the moment. Willow, you are so funny. you and I often say the same things. I swear you speak my thoughts sometimes. It might, what you're describing is that you have a keen sense of awareness that you would prefer to not feel right now. You would prefer to be able to numb out or sort of like not have to deal with stuff. And perhaps you were living in a dissociative state for a really, really long time. I'm not certain of anything. I'm not talking clinically dissociative. I'm not saying that you are living with DDNOS or DID or any other dissociative type diagnosis. But we never lose our ability to practice self-care. So, for instance, if you would typically, as a means of self-care, sort of numb out or veg out watching your favorite YouTuber like Katie Morton, who just has a way with words, and you would go into a pleasant state where you're just, the time just flies and you're just like, wow, that's amazing, and you sort of lost the ability to do that, then I would be concerned. But as we go to therapy, then we do dissociate less often, and it can feel like life is hard because we're not absent half the time, right? Like when I have to stay fully present in the shower, like if I don't dissociate in the shower, which I've been working on in therapy, then that means I have to stay fully present, and then I have to be fully aware of my body, and I have body image issues. So it's all connected. But what I can do as a radical act of self-care, if I'm not able to dissociate my way through things, is to find a way to thank whatever it is that I'm going through in the moment. If I'm feeling safe in the moment, I'm thankful that I'm safe in the moment. If I'm feeling like I'm able to, I feel rushed and like I have too much going on, but it's because I have a job and I'm being provided for, then I try to find something to be grateful for. Like if I'm struggling with being like, gosh, why can't I just sort of numb out and just like go somewhere else and not have to deal with all of this as an act of self-care? And I don't really have a minute to sort of do that because I'm busy, then I try to find something to be grateful for, so that until I can go to that place where I can feel good and sort of go there and practice self-care. So I hope that's helpful, and I hope you don't feel as though I'm minimizing your situation and be like, well, Willow, you just need a gratitude journal. That's your problem. Like, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I get you. I get you. I feel you. I hear you. And I've been you. And it can help to just be more intentional about your self-care. Find out what resourcing techniques help you the most and do those more often. And then I think you will miss dissociation and your dissociative moments less because you're resourcing more and practicing more self-care, so you won't be missing anything. So I hope that was helpful. Let me know for sure. CV says, I have a hard time explaining to doctors and therapists what's wrong or asking for help. I'm so used to putting up a front so that I seem fine. How do I ask for help effectively? This is such a great question, CV. I had a really hard time with this as well because I always had to just keep it together. I needed to be strong. But we need to discern who is safe to be vulnerable with. And if you can find a doctor or a therapist that you feel safe to be vulnerable with, then communicating with them ahead of time, letting them know that you're struggling to allow yourself to be vulnerable, and you know that you need to be vulnerable if you're ever going to heal, and let them know that you're struggling with that and that you need their help in providing a safe place for you to feel vulnerable, then that's the best way to go about that. And something I did with my doctor's office is I went to my appointment a few minutes early and I spoke with the girl at the front desk, and I talked with her, and then I talked with the nurse, and then I talked with the doctor. And what I said to all of them was, I realize this is a little bit perhaps out of the ordinary, but I'm an adult survivor, and I explained what I was an adult survivor of, childhood sexual abuse and exploitation, and there was some what could be considered human trafficking involved by the way that things went down. As a result of my childhood trauma, if you want to keep it clean, want to keep it G, then you say, as a result of my childhood trauma, I'm dealing with some PTSD symptoms. So part of my PTSD is I feel extremely hypervigilant around doctors and therapists and helping professionals. So I need you to do whatever. I need you to know that I'm living with PTSD and that it's real. I need you to do whatever you can to make sure, check in with me often, because I could be dissociating. And then I'm like, all of a sudden I come back and I'm freaked out. Because that's what was happening to me. I was dissociating my way through my doctor's appointments at Kaiser. And so I needed to let them know that what would be most helpful for me, because as a result of my childhood trauma, I was living in PTSD, that I wanted a person with me. Like that person's job would be like just checking in with me. Like, how are you doing? Are you doing okay? Are you feeling comfortable? How are you? Whether it's holding my hand or talking to me. Then I don't dissociate my way through half of the appointment and then sort of like come around and be like, what the hell's going on? And who are you? And oh my gosh, where am I? And this is so scary, So I hope that helps. Communicating our needs is very, very, very difficult if our needs were not met in childhood. So don't miss this. If your basic needs or your emotional needs were not met when you were a child, communicating your needs in adulthood is terrifying. It's absolutely terrifying, because there are younger parts of you that are like, it's not going to do you any good to talk about that. You're just going to be disappointed. You're going to hope for it for years and years and years and years and years, and you're going to think that it's going to be different, and then it's never going to be different, and you're just going to end up, it's going to be bad, and it's going to be horrible, and you're just going to repeat the pattern. You're going to end up in all these horrible relationships. Just don't even bother. Don't even bother communicating your needs, because your needs are never going to be met. That's what the younger voices in you are saying. And so if we can head that off at the pass and sort of preemptively just simply say to the doctor, I'm having trouble communicating my needs, but I know I need to, because if I'm ever going to heal, I have to be able to be vulnerable, but I'm struggling to be vulnerable. So I need to feel safe. I need to feel important. I need to feel valued. And the way that I can feel safe and valued is for you to provide a nurse to talk with me during my appointment, or to provide an extra person, or to just check in with me periodically, because I tend to dissociate as a result of my PTSD. So that can feel terrifying, and it can feel like a lot, but it's one of the best things I've ever done to advocate for myself, and I highly recommend it. Most definitely. Hunter says, hello, Athena. Hello, Hunter. What's up, recovery buddy? How do I conquer the false guilt from needing a fix to calm down, even if it's as innocent as coloring, which is my preferred calming resource? It is false guilt. You answered your own question, Hunter. That was like Yoda, right? You just Yoda, like you just like spoke it out, and like you answered your own question. There's such wisdom there, right? It's false guilt. So we know that it's false, and maybe we could preemptively say, I know I might feel guilty coloring for you safe, and I deserve to feel safe, and I deserve to feel good. So I'm gonna color for a few minutes. And if it helps, maybe reach out to a safe person, like in one of the groups, or a friend, like if you text with anyone or if you message with anyone, and be like, I'm thinking of coloring for a few minutes. Or, find, like, there are like some really cool, different, like, even groups on Facebook where people post their adult coloring book artwork, and you feel less stigmatized when you're around other people that like the same things as you. And why do you think that comic book, conventions and video game conventions and things like VidCon and BlizzCon and all those things are such a big deal? Why do you think all the people with the guns go to the gun show? Like, when we find people that have similar interests to us, there's such a sense of community. You belong. You know, my girlfriend, who was a maid of honor in my wedding, her son is really into anime, and there's this anime convention, and he's won all these awards. They make these paper mache different types of like anime costumes, and they do it every year. It's a big deal. And like, he used to think it was the dorkiest thing ever, and he would get made fun of, but now he wins awards. So Hunter, I would be willing to bet that you could win some awards with some of your coloring. I know you do some artwork on the computer as well that's pretty amazing. So I think you're cool, and I'm hoping that you know that you can find people. If you look for them, you will find them that think you're cool just as you are. And anyone who doesn't think that we're cool just as we are, they don't deserve to be our friends. They just don't. People who don't like you for who you are, and people who tell you that you're annoying, or they want you to be different, or they're exhausted by you, they just need a break, you're too much. Those aren't your friends. Those are self-absorbed people that need to go off and do their own thing. And your life might be better without them. So I hope that's helpful. Sabra says, how do we deal with the shame and anxiety about financial issues? I've been working hard to reshape that situation, but I feel shame about it being a mess. I never got taught to manage money. I'm so glad that somebody brought up money management. This is something that I'm continually working on, Sabra. I was never taught. I was raised by people who, like, my mother lied about all the money. She lied. She had secret P.O. boxes where she would receive money from different boyfriends that she cheated on all her husbands with. And she spent money on drugs and alcohol, and like, she would go on shopping binges. But like she was raised in an environment where that was something that was acceptable. The secret P.O. boxes and the shopping binges and all of that was acceptable. That was okay. That's not the life I live. That's not what I want to be involved in. My other parent that I was raised by, as long as there were checks in the checkbook, that meant you had money. Like, he would just bounce checks all over the place, which I learned is something you could go to jail for. So yeah, I hear you about not having been taught to manage your money. Unfortunately, we're learning how to be adults while we're already adults, Sabra, and that's the hardest shit that anyone will ever have to do ever in their whole life. It sucks. It's hard. You've been dealt a really crappy hand, but I promise you, you'll figure it out. I think dealing with the shame and the anxiety about financial issues is, we deal with those things that are shaming and anxiety inducing around food issues, around exercise, around relationships, around driving, around things that we were never taught how to do properly. I was socially inept and had zero vocabulary until I was like in my 20s, maybe 30s. Because I just led a very isolated life, and I was raised by people that didn't value communication. And I value communication. I know that it's like the superpower of the world. There's very few things in this world that cannot be solved by healthy communication. So I'm learning how to do that, and I place a high value on it. I'm learning how to manage my finances. Sabra, if you go to this YouTube channel, there are a few, but one that I subscribe to is called the Financial Education Channel. And the guy's name is Jeremy. He's 20-something years old, and he teaches people about personal finance and investing in stocks. And he has a couple of different courses, and I enjoy him. In fact, here's his book. That's all it says. Have a great day. Back of his book. That's all it says. Have a great day. I think it's called Money. Maybe it's called something else. Maybe it's called something money. I don't know. But I find people that are masters, and they learn different stuff, and I read their books, and I listen to their podcasts, and I watch their videos. And if someone's doing something better than I'm doing it, I want to learn from them. So that's what I recommend. I recommend just taking like 5, 10, 15 minutes a day and investing in yourself. IIY, girlfriend. IIY, invest in yourself. It's the greatest investment you'll make. And you'll feel less shame around it when you know you're doing something about it. Like if your goal was to lose 5 pounds, but you were eating Pop-Tarts before bed every night, you might feel some shame around the Pop-Tarts, even though the Pop-Tarts are super good because they're just like sugary and like crunchy on the outside and they're like gooey on the inside and they're super delicious and you're like, wow, they're good. And they just remind you of maybe a simpler time or like something you never got to have when you were a kid. Not that I would know anything about this. Like, it's not like I'm actually talking about myself or anything. Right. So if I'm going to be trying to lose 5 pounds, I probably won't feel great if I'm eating Pop-Tarts before bed. So if I'm doing different things and taking different steps and making different choices moving toward my goal, then like maybe I won't have Pop-Tarts before bed, you know? So yeah, when you 5, 10, 15 minutes a day on something that you don't know how to do and you're educating yourself, you're investing in yourself, it's the greatest thing you could possibly do. I hope that was helpful. Nexus says, how can you find ways to resource that make you worthy enough to exist and breathe or have any self-worth or self-esteem? I think Nexus, it's going to come down to finding a way. We got to start with now. We need to start with today. And we need to very simply catalog the people we allow to communicate with us. If you allow people to text message you or call you or show up at your house or email you or message you on Facebook or tweet you or post on your Instagram or whatever, and you haven't blocked anybody, and like if those people aren't feeding your soul and causing you to feel valuable and safe, then it will be impossible for you to feel worthy enough to exist and breathe and have self-esteem. So we have to start with now. And we have to catalog our life and limit contact and not allow people to treat us in ways that cause us to feel unsafe and unvaluable. And that will help you the most. And then the rest, the other resourcing like that we talked about on the screen share, that will come easier to you once you take inventory of the relationships that you have in your life right now. That whole thing about you are like a quotient or you are the sum of the 5 people that you allow to be in your life, or you are like the equivalent of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. There's truth in that. Like for me, I'm looking right now at the 5 people that I have closest to me in my life, not closest in physical proximity, but that I allow to be in my life time-wise. Amazing man, love him, married to him. Amazing man, love him, work with him. Amazing woman, love her, work with her. Amazing man, love him, gave birth to him. Amazing woman, she's amazing, and didn't give birth to her, but you know, she's my daughter. So like those are then I'm pretty flippin' amazing because they're amazing people. So yeah, and each of them caused me to feel safe and valuable. So hope that's helpful. Vi says, I've heard of imagery being helpful, but I never really understood what that was. Wouldn't that be like living in non-reality? Not necessarily. Like safe place imagery is something that I use on a regular basis in trauma therapy. And it's an imaginary place that I go to that I've invented that include real and unreal people and circumstances and elements. And it's helping me heal because remember, Vi, we are healing younger parts of ourselves that went through traumatic circumstances. And the language of children is curiosity and imagination and play. And curiosity and imagination and play, imagery comes in handy in all of those. And like, you know, there's rainbows and clouds and things and dolls and toys and, you know, imaginary friends and different types of things. And as we allow ourselves, if we're feeling that we're sort of drawn to that, then that's a sign that maybe we have some unprocessed childhood trauma that we should listen to and thank and heal through so that we can not have it show up in our lives as much. And then we are like adulting all over the place and our younger parts are not showing up left and right. We start to feel more whole. We start to feel more whole and less fragmented. Feeling fragmented is something that all trauma survivors experience, depending on the level of trauma, depending on how long the trauma went on, the degree of trauma, the layers and layers of betrayal, um, the implications of all and how many of those people that were involved in the trauma or enabled the trauma are still in contact with us present day. So it's important to just cut yourself some slack, show yourself a little bit of grace, and allow your younger parts to experience imagery and, curiosity and play and imagination, and thank them for showing you what perhaps you never had the opportunity to see before. Now, unless you're talking about you're getting involved with some sort of cult and you're going to be drinking some sort of Kool-Aid because you're going to be beamed up and it's going to be all that, then I would be super duper duper concerned. But I happen to have the luxury of knowing you a little bit and a little bit about your history, and I don't think that's what you're talking about. So I hope that was helpful. Poppy says, is the meaning or idea of safety or feeling safe going to be an individual experience? Absolutely, it's going to be an individual experience. Some people feel safe in crowds. Other people feel safe at home. Some people feel safe in the ocean. Other people are terrified of the ocean, So it's an individual experience, and no one can tell you what causes you to feel safe. If you close your eyes and you feel your body relax and all the muscles sort of just go, and you're at peace, that's safety. And if you have a thought, knowing that people like us care about you, and we find you valuable, and we communicate with you through our words and actions that you're valuable, then that's what matters. It's an individual experience, most definitely. Jess says, how do you handle memories or pieces of information that come to you years after you thought you came to terms with the original situation of the abuse, feeling confused and doubting reality? Oh, my goodness. Oh, I've lived this. How many times have we said to ourselves, I thought I already processed this? I spent 5 years. I spent 5 years driving to the other side of the island, once, twice, 3, 4 times a week, meeting with therapists and my Bible study ladies and my friends and my groups and processing all this trauma. And now here I am, and I'm married, and I'm feeling traumatized all over again, and I can't think straight, and I thought I did all this already. What's wrong with me? How I handled that is I dove headfirst into learning about the individual symptoms I was experiencing so that I could use that to come to a conclusion logically of what was really going on with me. What does the data say? Because I'm stuck in an emotional flashback at this point, Jess. I'm like, how did I get here again? How did I get here again? Why do I feel so unsafe? Why do I feel so disgusting? Why do I hate my life? Why do I want to die? Why do I literally want to die? And the only conclusion I could come up with is because I can't believe I'm back here again. I thought I did everything right. I thought I was patient. I thought I went through all the workbooks. I thought I told all the stories. I did all the things. I processed all the memories. I did reprocess. I did EMDR. I did the thing. I did the talk therapy. I did all of it, all of it, all of it. What's wrong with me? Why am I back here again? And the answer for me, Jess, was that I only allowed myself to go this deep because going deeper I honestly felt like it would kill me. I was terrified to heal deeper than I had already healed. I didn't know that at the time. I was just busy complaining, going, I thought I already did all this. What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? How did I do this wrong? How did I end up back here again? So what I did in the intermittently between suicidal ideation and restricting calories and over exercising and hating my life and not being able to get out of bed and contemplating finding a place to go inpatient, afraid to tell my husband that I was a basket case and I'm sorry, you deserve a wife that isn't crazy. Like in the midst of all of that, I just dove headfirst into research. I looked up every medical journal. I read every Google Scholar article I could. I super sleuthed my life away on every ounce of spare time I had so that I could make sense logically of what was going on, because then once I could go, well, look, it says here in black and white that these are the implications of what I've been through. When I was healing for that 5 years, I didn't know that all of this is what I was healing from. I thought I was healing from this. And so then once I saw the whole thing, I was like, okay, I can do this. Now that I know what I'm dealing with, I can do this. And if I end up back here again with more, I know that there's nowhere I can go that I can't get out of. Because if I can understand it logically, I can find a way to heal from it. So it's not a linear line, Jess. It's not a like quick one and done answer. But if you can find a way to feel safe in your body and to understand how valuable you are, and that cognitively, logically, you're going to be able to look in black and white and see what's going on. And we're just going to have to tick the boxes. Okay, I'm talking about this. I'm working through this. I'm healing from this. I'm helping other people. Yes, I did this. Yes, I worked on this. Okay, if we can find a way to just go through the line items and do everything that we can possibly do in a day, then I guarantee you that you will feel less confused and you won't doubt reality as much. At the same time, though, I am not living with the same diagnosis as you, and I don't want to pretend that I am the most educated person in the room to talk about anything DDNOS or DID related. But that's what worked for me, and I feel less confused, and I feel less doubting of reality than I did previously when I was exactly, I feel, like where you described. So it helped me to really lay out, okay, I thought I healed from all of this, but this is the scope of what I have to heal from. And in reality, maybe I only healed from like this much of it. And I still have this much to go since used now. But I think surrounding yourself with others, Jess, that have been through something similar as to what you've been through is definitely going to help, because then you feel valuable and you feel accepted and you feel safe around others because they've been through something similar as to what you've been through. But I hope that's helpful. Like, I know it's a long-winded answer, but I wanted to give it a lot of thought and give it the time that it deserved, because, you know, you're doing a lot of amazing things. You've been through a lot and you're doing a lot of amazing things. You're helping a lot of people. You're online helping others feel accepted and safe and loved and important every single day. And even if you're not, you're worthy of healing and you're doing amazing things and you're doing so good. But it can feel like a slippery slope. You can feel like, why do I even bother? This sucks. This is too hard. How is this ever going to be worth it? But I promise you it's worth it. I promise you it's worth it. So we ran a little long today, you guys. We ran long today, but I know you're not surprised. But I love spending this time with you guys. If you want to have conversations like these every single day, then go to the website, cptsdfoundation.org, CPTSD, just like PTSD, but with a C in front of it, which stands for complex. CPTSDfoundation.org. And we have calls every day that are 45 minutes long. And they're psychoeducational in nature, similar to the YouTube channel. And then we have a Q&A period every single day where we answer questions. And the whole time all that's going on, it's like there's a chat box going on as well. It's very similar to this, only it's not video. It's a screen share 365 days a year. So, but yeah, it's not free. It's $50 a month. So not everybody can afford that. And that's okay. I'll be here every Monday. Nothing's going to change. Every Monday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. And I love being here with you guys. So thanks for sticking around. There's still a lot of you guys here. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for giving this video a thumbs up if you're still here. Thanks for subscribing to this channel and clicking the bell notification. And thanks for commenting down below when the video is done being live and it's actually archived and you can actually post a comment. It would mean a lot to me just to say hello. Let me know you're here. I won't know you were here unless you say hello. So thanks so much. I'll see you next Monday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Bye, everybody.